This is interview session number 1 with James. Recorded April 5th, 2008. Copyright 2008 Wingmakers. All rights reserved. Is this the same thing as the 7 chakra system?
Yes. Now, when people express anger or hatred, especially over time, their antenna can be damaged, or more precisely, its sensitivity is diminished, causing a vicious cycle because at some level they realize that they're not receiving the ultrafine perceptions, which is their birthright. It is precisely these ultrafine perceptions that activate the individual. It's important to note that this antenna is never damaged from external emotions. In other words, negative emotions directed at you or others from an external source. Instead, it's diminished only by your own emotions of hatred, anger, frustration, and resentment. So you see, your spirit's presence in your life is directly proportional to this etheric antenna's well-being. It's a very delicate, wondrous, even miraculous facet of the human instrument and its bond with spirit. And as this antenna is unfurled, awakened, activated, strengthened, utilized, and secured, it broadcasts the incoming frequencies of light and sound, or the higher frequency radiations of first source to the energetic field around you, bringing you a more complete awareness of the multidimensional world in which you live. Now, this luminous field that surrounds you is not an island anymore. As I said, the islands are rising up as a continent of consciousness, and this continent is the collective entity I spoke of earlier.
So what is the activation then?
The higher self, working in conjunction with spirit, is always the activator. It instructs the human instrument on the fundamental truths of the 6 heart virtues even before the individual can read or speak. These are innate understandings. They're derived from the shared pool of wisdom that is the living truth, and this pool of wisdom is the very same that angels and enlightened beings draw from. This is the access that every student of spirit seeks. Once it is found, it becomes your own. Once it is found, you realize that the circuitry of the heavens, of the material galaxies, star systems, and right down to the planet and your own human instrument, they are all aligned in a coherent design that makes the access to the shared pool of wisdom possible. The only thing that you need to do is to activate the etheric antenna transmitter, which is another way of saying listen to your heart, and then sustain and expand this activation by living a love-centered life.
It almost sounds too simple.
Yes, it is simple. There is no complexity here because it is natural. It is with the grain, where the friction of effort is removed from the task. And because of the incoming energetics of our time, the task is even simpler. I understand that there are many complex techniques related to posture and breathing and mantras and visualizations and so forth. I don't discount these techniques or approaches. Activation is a highly personal process, and if your higher self leads you to undertake these approaches, then do so by all means. But also remember that the complexity can mislead. It can create a separation from your spiritual understanding that lives ever present in your heart. What matters is not how much we know about the spiritual techniques of the so-called masters, or even how well we exercise this knowledge. What matters is our ability to love and to express this love into the finest grain realities in our life.